When I, 28 male, was 17 and still in high school, I got hit by a car. The car sped through a red light and ended up hitting me while I was crossing the street. The accident left me in the hospital for 3 weeks. I could have died because of the driver. I received a spinal fracture from the situation, and I lost a good chunk of my mobility. In addition, I had a baseball scholarship lined up for university, and I had that ripped away from me. My mother is a single parent. She had me when she was still in high school and had to drop out because of me. She couldn't hold down a job apart from part-time non-intensive work, i.e. a waitress. We couldn't afford my medical bills, so my mother had to sell most of our possessions just to cover a bit of it. She started taking more and more shifts at work just to pay off my bills. Eventually, we had to turn to banks for loans just to pay off my bills. My mother's credit has been in ruin. Last week was my 28th birthday, and a friend, we'll call him Jack, from high school, invited me to go over to his house just to have a few beers and to watch a movie. Jack introduced me to his girlfriend, Ashley, 29. She was very pleasant to talk to and had some wacky stories to share and some great life advice about recovering. Then she told me about the time she ran over a high schooler. Her car fit the exact description of the car that ran me over. The details of the story fit the exact version of my story. I asked her what had happened to the high schooler she ran over, and she said, "I have no clue, really. The kid is probably 10 feet in the ground right now." She didn't have a single bit of remorse in her voice. Instead, she seemed to be stifling back laughter. I got up and left Jack's house. 2 hours later, Jack phones me and asked me why I left his house. I told him, "Jack, your girlfriend ran me over. She completely messed up my life." Jack just laughed and said, "So it's been 11 years, let it go." I yelled at Jack and I told him I could be happy right now. I could be enjoying life, not sitting here broke and depressed and thinking about the what ifs every darn night. I told him that I'll be finding a lawyer and taking Ashley to court for damages. For the past week, I've been getting messages from my high school friends, Jack, his family, and Ashley, that I'm an idiot for not just letting it go. My mother says I should go through with the lawsuit against Ashley, but I don't know if I want to do it. It would have been much easier just to let it go and continue on with my life. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot, and you should go straight to a lawyer, OP. Write down an account of everything you remember being said in as accurate detail as you can. Then stop answering your phone when your friend calls, so he'll have to leave messages you can use. Save, screenshot, and document everything. You absolutely should sue that woman's pants off. It doesn't matter how long ago it was. She had a huge negative impact on both your and your mother's lives, and she can and should pay for it. My question is, who would pay him? Does this woman have money? I know insurance usually would pay it, but would they spend 11 years later? Also, does she remember who she had for insurance then? Also, the onus would be on him to prove it was her that hit him. Even with text admitting to a hit and run in the proper time frame, it would be darn near impossible to connect him getting hit to her hitting someone. If insurance gets involved, I really could see them putting up a pretty good fight not to pay. Not the idiot. Keep them texting you. If you can get her to confess via text message, that can be used in court. If the SOL is out for criminal and civil charges, honestly, I would post the text messages on social media. She needs to be held responsible, especially since she shows no remorse. If she showed any genuine guilt or regret, I would seriously consider moving on, but she sounds disgusting. Also, people telling you to move on from a trauma like that is nonsense. Do they tell a victim to move on? Do they tell a soldier to get over it? I hate when people tell me it's so long ago, get over it. Trauma isn't something you get over. You have to work through it, and it will take time and therapy. OP, you need to talk to a therapist. I, 20 female, recently went to stay with my husband's, 25, parents for the first time. Along with him, we are newly married. We'll be here for 2 more weeks. I'm fortunate to get along with his family really well. During the visit, I ended up buying myself a specific kind of pillowcase online to be delivered to me at my in-laws. I have an autoimmune skin condition that is significantly worsened by sleeping on particular fabrics, severe enough to matter, e.g. very visible rash and discomfort. The pillowcase was relatively expensive, but I thought it was fine as I could add it to my home rotation. My husband was very upset about my purchase and insisted I shouldn't use it. Context: my family is from a somewhat significantly higher economic bracket than my husband's family. It hasn't really caused tensions before, but my husband thought this pillowcase purchase was, number one, flaunting my ability to buy something expensive easily. Number two, shaming his family for their lesser quality pillowcases. He suggested I try using some topical medicine if I have an outbreak. I argued that I absolutely would not mind what pillowcase I sleep on, were it not for the skin condition. I have and prefer to use the pillowcase because I find many topical medicines ineffective. My husband threw the pillowcase away while I was out with mother-in-law, and on waking the next day, my face was red and painful, so I bought another pillowcase, intending to keep it hidden and just pull it out at bedtime to minimize potentially offending his parents and making husband angry. Still, he found this one and basically told me I should leave his parents home if I'm too good to sleep on their pillowcases. I absolutely do not want to upstage his parents' linens or cause them any offense. I like them a lot. I also can't imagine voluntarily enduring skin outbreaks for the next 2 weeks. I feel like I should be standing my ground in this argument, but I also don't want to ruin this holiday with a relatively petty issue. Am I the idiot? You are not the idiot. This is honestly straight up toxic. OP, your special pillowcase is a medical necessity for you. It has nothing to do with his parents or their linens or anything else other than you. Your husband is narcissistic and gaslighting you if he puts his parents' feelings over your physical and emotional well-being. If someone had celiac disease and needs to buy gluten-free bread, which may be more expensive, are they the idiot? Nope, no, never. Likewise, you're not the idiot for taking care of yourself. Throwing out a perfectly good and absolutely helpful pillowcase just because he's insecure about his finances is giving a lot of red flags. It's disrespectful towards you, your condition, and your belongings, and he's acting like your money does not matter. It's definitely not a petty issue. Not the idiot, you're not buying the pillowcase as a status symbol. You're doing it to cope with a medical condition. Healthcare can be expensive no matter what walk of life you come from. The pillowcase is no different from a person buying a cane or a brace to manage a condition. I would talk to your in-laws because I'm almost certain they would be horrified by your husband's behavior. Update: am I the idiot for shaming someone's poverty with my choice? Wow, this became so dramatic. Mother-in-law commented again on my outbreak at breakfast. My husband was right there, so I just said it's actually worse in the morning. Mother-in-law asked if it might be the detergent on the bedclothes or the air freshener in the room and offered to switch brands. Husband got super annoyed like, for God's sake, you don't need to go buy her a special detergent. She could use a cream if she wanted to. Mother-in-law said anyway, she's happy to get something if it would help. And husband said that wasn't the case when he was growing up. So it became a list of complaints that I had no idea he was silently stewing on. Apparently, I'm pretty careless about small purchases. I actually could probably be better with money overall, and we clearly relate differently to purchases. He mentioned some instances of going without money when he was growing up, which are still troubling him. There was a lot of falsetto imitation of me acting like a diva, which actually made me crack up a bit. Mother-in-law was just blinking through most of this, and I think some of his comments about his childhood hit her hard. When he huffed off, I apologized for being the source of drama. She said she didn't know he was carrying this baggage and said to her memory, the financially rough periods were limited to a few years in his early teens. We had a sort of heart-to-heart about the whole experience, and I mentioned that I usually sleep on X material and could just order a pillowcase, which she was totally okay with. I didn't mention the conflict about it, as it seemed like she'd had enough negative info for the morning, LOL. Husband hasn't come back yet. He went over to father-in-law's worksite for the day, so I don't know how it's going to play. Still, it's clear now that he has some trauma surrounding finances, and it's going to need some real discussion. I can see it becoming a huge issue down the line, as many commenters have said. Thanks to everyone for the feedback and advice. It's been helpful to confirm that I'm not so petty and should address this whole issue. So I, 18 female, am an adoptee. I am half Indian and half Ashkenazi Jewish, while my adopters are white. My adopters were okay growing up. They never abused me, but I never really bonded with them. It felt like being raised by strangers. When I was 15, I found BioMom on Facebook and told her who I was. She messaged me back and said that she was so happy to hear from me and if I would be interested in having a Skype call. Well, I found out that she and my bio dad are actually still together and married, so I was able to meet him. So we started making contact again and opened the adoption. I confided a lot of my bio parents about how alone I felt growing up. One day when I was talking with my mom, I was feeling really emotional. I asked why she ever put me up for adoption in the first place, and I told her how much it hurt to feel unwanted by her. She cried and told me she loved me. She told me how she met my adoptive parents. She was looking for an open adoption, and my adopters agreed to it. When I was born, my bio mom did skin to skin with me and knew that she wanted to keep me. But my adoptive mom convinced her to still place me. She told my bio mom they would allow visitation and that she would still get to be in my life. My adopters closed the adoption after a year. I confronted my adoptive parents about it, and they broke down crying. They told me how much they loved me and how scared they were that they would lose me. It ended with them saying that they would let my parents visit and we should get family therapy. However, I still have no attachment to them. I honestly don't think of them as my parents or my family. The only people who hold that title in my heart are my bio family. Well, that was all 3 years ago. Since then, I go to a college near where my bio parents and extended bio family live, and I live with my bio parents. I've also started referring to my bio parents as my mom and dad, and calling my adoptive parents by their first names. This is a source of arguments between me and my adoptive parents, because their worst fear of losing me has come true. The latest argument is over the fact that I changed my name. My adoptive parents gave me a white name. They used the traditional Desi name my bio parents wanted to name me as a middle name. I changed my name so that my middle name became my first name. My middle name is the name of my bio grandmother, with whom I have also established a relationship. I also changed my last name to be the same as my bio dad's. My parents threw a fit over it, and at that moment, I realized I get no happiness from being around my adopters, which only brings me stress. I am not their daughter and never was. So I told my adopters that I could not have contact with them anymore, and they lost it. So now my entire adoptive family is messaging me on social media to tell me what an idiot I am. You are the idiot. Your adoptive parents raised and cared for you from the second you were born. Your bio parents had nothing to do with you until you were old enough to manipulate. Your bio parents do not deserve to be called mom and dad. And shame on you for not even giving the people who fed and clothed you any credit at all throughout the years. Your bio parents aren't perfect, and you put them on the same imaginary pedestal that will eventually, believe it or not, start to crumble. Exactly this. Your real parents are the ones that adopted you, raised you, and loved you. Instead, you put your bio parents, the ones that actually abandoned you, on a pedestal, and now years later, when you're all raised and almost grown up, they manipulate you to make themselves look like the good guys, and you fall for it. Shame on you. Let's hope OP doesn't live to regret this awful decision. But why didn't the biological parents try to contact OP for years? This can be taken either way. Biological parents' manipulation worked, or they genuinely wanted to grow close to their kid. They feel sad for not being there for OP in childhood, so they are trying to pay her back. Adoptive parents, I am sure, loved and took care of OP, though I think OP should not have disowned her adoptive parents. OP doing that can be understood. OP is not the idiot. Adoptive parents are the idiots. You want to stay there and believe your adoptive mom forced your incubator to give you up? You go ahead and do that, but you better recognize that at the end of the day, the decision was hers, nobody else's. She chose to give you up. This was her and BioDad's decision. Literally nobody else's. But yeah, man, believe this delusional fantasy they're shilling you. Your adoptive parents stepped up when the other people bailed out. Your ability to do this to parents who did nothing but love, support, and provide for you is just astonishing and tells us everything we need to know about what kind of person you are. Hence, it's not good. You definitely got bio parents' DNA. Huge, you are the idiot. Not the idiot. The amount of "you are the idiot" comments seems way out of hand. If you didn't bond, you didn't bond. I fully believe that family can be chosen, and just because someone fed you doesn't mean they are family. You have a connection with your bio family, and if in your heart they are your family, then they are. The fact that your adopters closed the adoption after saying your bio parents could have visitation seems to speak to some of what you said. And based on your comment that your parents were 20 and in college, it is totally valid that they did not feel ready to raise a child and thought they were doing what was best. I, male 56, am a married man and have 2 sons. 2 years ago, my older son, Josh, 23, started dating his work colleague, Lucy, 21. Lucy is a smart, well-behaving girl, even though she is very shy, and it took her some time before she started to feel comfortable around my wife and me. Nowadays, though, we both have good contact with her, or at least I think so. 1 week ago, my younger son had his 18th birthday. It means reaching our country's maturity age, so we threw him a rather big party in a nice club with a good reputation. Of course, Josh and Lucy were also present. I saw Lucy was feeling a bit uncomfortable. If I understand correctly, she doesn't like visiting clubs and too crowded places in general because she feels like she's standing out. Also, she was alone because Josh at the time was chatting with his brother. I wanted her to feel better because nowadays, I treat her basically like my daughter, so I started some small talk to distract her from being in an unfamiliar place. I think I didn't say anything gross. I told her that her dress looks nice with her hair color, that she has good taste, and asked her where she bought the dress. She thanked me and we chatted for a while about how she and her sister are choosing their outfits. Weird topic for conversation, I know, but whatever works. Being able to talk with someone she knew, she relaxed. In the meantime, Josh came back, so shortly after I left them, not thinking about this conversation anymore. By the way, the birthday party went well. I believe all the guests, Lucy included, had a great time. However, the day after the party, Josh confronted me. He said I shouldn't compliment his girlfriend. I'm disloyal to my wife, and that he's sure Lucy was feeling uncomfortable. I asked him if Lucy told him so. He said it doesn't matter as he isn't all right with me complimenting her. I got sort of annoyed and told him maybe he should put Lucy's well-being over his petty jealousy. I tried to explain to him I just saw she wasn't feeling good about being in a place where she knew almost no one, but he just kept repeating that I'm a gross man with a midlife crisis, hitting on a younger girl. Since that day, he's avoiding me, and if he has to talk to me, he makes sure to show he's still angry. My wife says he's just young and blindly in love, and I shouldn't worry about that. However, I started thinking, maybe I overstepped the boundaries. I'm not a great father, let alone a great potential father-in-law. Maybe I should just leave the girl alone and pretend I don't care about her. I can't ask Lucy herself because I think that would make the situation really awkward. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. So, complimenting clothes is considered hitting on people now? Weird your son thinks that. Guess I hit on that old lady at the gas station this morning. I said her dress was stunning. Oops, LOL. Not the idiot. Your son really thinks his 55-year-old father is trying to steal his 21-year-old girlfriend? It is mind-boggling your son is so oblivious that he can't see his own girlfriend is uncomfortable at a party and comfort her. Making that leap from paying her a compliment to trying to hit on her is some very odd mental gymnastics that can't come from a healthy thought process. Not the idiot. Based on what you described, there was no awkwardness. Lucy would not have talked about her sister buying dresses. I would think she would have stalled and been very visibly embarrassed if she thought you were hitting on her. She would not have ended up being more relaxed. Your son, however, sounds a bit strange if he believes you are his competition. I don't think he'll manage to keep her if he reacts like this to you. What will he do to her when another young man actually hits on her?